everyone, I'm Dr. Yogita and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be talking to Dr. Yogita Verma, who has studied at three premier institutes in our country. She's done her MBBS from Government Stanley Medical College, Chennai. She's done her MD from AIIMS New Delhi, and she's done her PDCC Hepatovirology from the Institute of Liver and Biliary Sciences, New Delhi. But that's not the reason why we're talking to her today. So I found Yogita ma'am because of a fantastic Instagram page that she runs, which goes by the name of Kitabi Scribbles. So if you're someone who enjoys books as much as I do, you must go ahead and check her page out. I will have it linked in the description box below. So the way in which she captures the images of the books that she's reading and puts them out is truly artistic. And the reason why we are having this conversation is to reflect upon two things. One is the importance of a hobby, especially so for a working professional, because a lot many times when you are overexhausted with your work, a hobby is going to be your safe haven. It's going to be rescuing you and it's going to refresh you in a manner you did not know. And secondly, this is going to be a very inspiring story for anybody who, or more so for girls, because Yogita ma'am is a mum, she's a working professional, and on top of that, she's running a very successful Instagram page. So when she can do this while she's playing the role of so many, different characters in her life, you all can take inspiration and do anything that you want to. So this, unlike the other technical videos that I've put out so far, this is going to be a casual conversation between two people who enjoy reading books and who connected over books. So please go ahead and check it out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and yeah, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and do comment down below and tell me how you found this video. Have fun, enjoy it, and let's dive right into the video. So welcome to the channel, ma'am. And this is going to be a very different video format for me and my viewers also. And so, like I always do in all my videos, let's just start your story from the beginning. So growing up, did you always want to become a doctor?
So first of all, thank you for having me, Ipshita. And yeah, we'll get to your answers and then we'll talk more about me, you, and reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as I remember thinking about becoming something or what do I want to be growing up, it was always I wanted to become a doctor and nothing else. So I can't even give a proper answer sometimes when people ask me, would you have chosen another profession if you had the chance to? So I would always say I wanted to become a doctor and I'm happy to have become a doctor.
Okay. And do you come from a family of doctors, so it was easy for you to decide or pick a point?
Yeah, yes, I do. And I think that was the main reason I had always thought of becoming a doctor and no one else. So yeah, coming from a family of doctors had a lot to do with it.
Okay, that's fantastic. And ma'am, how was your journey in your medical school? You come from a very prestigious college, so how was it 5 years over there doing your MBBS?
Yeah. I think if you ask any of us, any of the people who have done MBBS or BDS for that matter, they will say the same thing. Most of us, that our graduation time was the best time of our life. So was it was the same for me. And when I came to my MD and fellowship and times after that, life started to happen. So obviously it was a little different. It is not all that fun. It is fun, but then there's a lot of adulting happening as well. So yeah, the best time was my undergraduate period. After that, it was fun and a lot of life happening.
Right, right. And I found you because of the wonderful Instagram page that you run, Kitabi Scribbles. And by then I knew that you were a doctor, but I didn't know that, you had such good achievements behind your career also. So I just thought you
That's a
were.
fine view.
Nahin, nahin. So, ma'am, reading, have you always been somebody who's been into reading since childhood, or did you just pick this up while in college? Because, yeah.
So yeah, I would say I have always been a reader and never a voracious reader kind of a person. I still am not. So it has always been a hobby, something that I enjoyed doing always. I still do, and as you know that during your graduation, post graduation times, etc., it obviously goes on the back burner. You don't read as much for leisure, and reading 1,000 or 1,500 page thick book for syllabus and having to memorize a lot of things out of that really takes the fun out of leisure reading, obviously. So you don't read much for leisure in your med school, etc. Otherwise, I've always been a reader. I'm still a reader, and I have never been a voracious reader. Yeah, so I read at my pace and for fun.
So what kind of books did you read back in school?
Yeah,
Were
so
you a
that's a very good
Nancy
question.
Drew, Hardy Boy kind of a person?
No, really. I don't think I've read many classics. I don't think I've read many uh, books that regular kids read. A few years ago, I was at home and my mom was cleaning, and she showed me my library card from when I was 9 years old or 10 years old, and I saw the entries. So it was everything starting from Cinderella to India's struggle for independence. So I don't know what I was reading, how I was choosing all that as 9 or 10 years old, but it was always an eclectic thing for me. I haven't read a lot of famous authors or famous classics. So yeah, I'm reading what I like.
And readers do bond differently, I feel. That's always something that you will start a conversation on. You can have plenty many conversations with somebody who also has a hobby of reading. So did it help you in making any friends at all in college, or did you bond over some people specifically because of
Yeah,
your
yeah,
hobby?
obviously, like singers bond with singers easily, dancers bond with dancers, sports people bond with sports people, because there is something common that you like. There's some common conversation starter, and there is some special place for a thing in your heart and in the other person's heart. So obviously, you bond differently. But yeah, I bonded with a lot of people irrespective of the fact that they were readers or non-readers. But yeah, a lot of people. I learned how to be a regular or a uh, good reader because they always gave me good recommendations. So those kind of things did happen. But I did bond with nearly everyone, reader or not reader.
And then you went on and you did your MD from AIIMS. So that is,
Yeah.
I think, a very big achievement, isn't it? And yeah. So, ma'am, do you think your ability or your hobby of reading came in handy over there? Because when you read, you sort of improve on your concentration. You're able to sit, you're able to focus better. And do you think that it helps? Or you think there's something entirely different to it? A mindset has to be entirely different for when you're preparing for PG entrance, and reading may not help.
Yeah, I think other than the fact that you like to sit and read, and you probably have a little more concentration span than absolute non-readers. Other than that, that kind of reading has nothing to do with the leisure kind of reading. So I don't know if this helped or not, but that definitely. It affected this adversely, as in reading so many textbooks definitely puts me off when it comes to choosing a thick book for reading. Like I see readers who are very fond of reading 1,000 page book or a 1,500 page book, and I'm instantly like, no, I don't want anything above 200 pages, and anything above 400 pages is too thick for me. I have read enough Harrisons and Davidsons for that, and I cannot do that anymore.
So,
Yeah.
coming to what kind of books do you really enjoy reading? So, what is your genre looking like?
Genre, yeah. If I have to talk genre wise, it would be historical fiction and literary fiction that I enjoy. But otherwise, I would like to think myself as an eclectic reader, and I've read a lot of non-fiction last year. This year, however, not a lot of non-fiction happened, which I want to change. But yeah, historical fiction, literary fiction would be the thing, and I really enjoy short stories as well. Yeah, anything short books, short stories is sort of my thing.
So, ma'am, any particular author for short stories? Ruskin Bond is one. Is there a favorite that you have too?
Not for short stories. Yeah, Ruskin Bond is obviously a childhood
Very
favorite.
famous, yeah.
But overall, I enjoy the writing of a few authors, like not for short stories, but in general.
In general.
Yeah, Amitav Ghosh is one. Then Lisa C is one. Both of them write amazing historical fiction. Even Amitav Ghosh writes a lot of non-fiction also, which is equally amazing. And Frederick Backman. I enjoy these people's writing. Yeah.
And uh, so, are you a regular reader now? Do you read, or do you have your, like some people would just sit down with a book and then finish it off. Some people read in sections, so maybe before they sleep at night, they'll read something every day. So, how does it go for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, for me, it's like whenever I get time, and what how much ever time I get, I try to utilize with reading. So that kind of a thing. I cannot sit for a long time at a stretch, and I generally read, let's say, a little bit in the night and a little bit in the evenings when I get some free time. So yeah, few pages at a time, not a fast reader at all, and reading slowly. And I don't think I've ever finished a book in one sitting, unless it was like 100 pages or something. Yeah.
And but it's good that you're still continuing with a hobby, right? Reading. Would you agree if I say that it recharges you for your week, or it keeps you happy? You know, indulging in something that's slightly different from your profession keeps you going and motivated for the entire week. Would you
Oh,
agree?
oh yes, not for the entire week, but sometimes I think reading, or any hobby for that matter, for me it's reading. I think right now, it acts as a refuge. When you are so tired from the everyday grind and you want to hide somewhere and not think about a lot of things for some time at least, if not for days, then it helps. It's an anchor. It helps you preserve your sanity. That's as far as I would go. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also the reason why I really wanted ma'am to come over on our channel and talk, because I feel like as doctors, especially, we do have certain hobbies that we follow through our undergraduation. Post graduation, I
Yes.
don't think people follow up with anything. It is
No.
all gone for a toss. And after that, I
Yeah.
think life happens. Most people are old enough to get married after that, and then you get a job, and then you get so taken up with the whole cycle, and then we start complaining about how mundane our life is. And
True.
because I feel like doctors get stuck with the clinical work also. Like you do have patients, you have your own
Yeah.
clinical setup, so you can't run away from that for a longer period of time. And then there are no, programs that specifically happen for us where we can think of different things. Like I feel like
Yeah.
people in the management or other IT sectors, they do have refreshing programs for them. Wherein they have sessions for maybe some other kind of counseling or some activity. We don't have that, so I feel like it's very important that you stick to one hobby and you need to take out time for it. It is hard. Like you yourself are so busy, but you find some time at least to spare, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. Because sometimes it does feel like you are specially making time for your hobby, and you're putting everything else on hold. So this I want to tell everybody, that please do that. Do not ever feel guilty of doing that, guilty about it, that I am making time for myself and I'm putting other things on hold for some time. It's important for you. If you are recharged, you're doing well, mentally as well as physically, then only you can help others around you, even in your household. I'm not talking about public in
Work.
general.
Yeah.
So you have to think of self-care, definitely, and this is a part of self-care for me. A lot of other things are a part of self-care for other people, but yeah, self-care is important, and don't feel ever guilty about it.
So basically, what we're trying to tell everyone is me time is important. Even when you start working and when you get busy, you need to carve some time out for yourself. If you swim, you need to continue with that. If you read, that's great. If you dance, maybe join a class or something. But keep that little time for yourself, for your own sanity at least. Otherwise, it'll
Yeah,
become very boring very fast.
very boring very fast. And when you are adulting, as we say these days, as part of adulthood, you have to take some decisions for yourself, and nobody's going to hand this time on a platter to you. You will have to carve it out for yourself. Otherwise there are 100 things standing right there, ready to take your time, ready to fill up that time for you. So you have to especially make time for yourself.
I agree, 100%, ma'am. And since we're talking about books, and you did mention non-fiction, so do you enjoy self-help books? Would you recommend them? Do you
Yeah.
think they help?
No, no, no. The thing is, self-help has helped a lot of people, and a lot of people around me are fan of self-help books. But for me, I mean, till date, I am not a fan of self-help. I have not been able to appreciate it for what it is, because it's not like I don't need help. I do, and I have found other things to be more helpful, like talking to my parents or my spouse or my friends, or even going for a run or a walk when I'm confused or anxious. But reading self-help has never, I don't know, it has never helped me. So I'm not a fan of self-help. In fact, it irks me a little bit whenever I read something which is a little preachy or towards self-help. It's sort of, I'm like, no, better keep my distance. I'm not liking it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it becomes a little hard to practice what they're really trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because everybody has a different system, right? How I deal with things would be very different from how you deal with things. So I don't know. No, it doesn't work for me.
yeah.
Do you
And
like self-help?
ma'am, actually, I was not the biggest fan. I'll be very honest. I am more into spy fiction and thrillers and historical fiction myself, but yeah, not self-help books at all. But I did read a few, one or two. Atomic Habits was one which really got me into thinking that, yeah, you need to develop some good habits. And he talks about, James Clear, he talks about how you can couple a few things together so that at least if you can start picking up on a few things. Like I have
Mm,
for always I have very little to do with exercise. So,
yeah.
because my time is such that right from get go, I'm just running around doing something. And so there's no time. But then I realized when he says that, put your shoes next to your dress in the morning, and then maybe you are reminded of how you should go for a walk. So I did continue with that for around 3, 4 months, but then again, something came up. So I've stopped.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good book and it did help me a little bit. But I think that fault was on my part. I could not keep up with that habit. But it's a good book. I would recommend that to people for habit building because
I think I have it. I have the audiobook version with me. I'm yet to read it. As I told you, I keep myself a little.
what are two of your favorites? If you would like to tell us two of your favorite books so far that you've read amongst the many that you must have read.
Yeah. So you do understand it's a very cruel question, Ipshita. So, but still, I am obviously going to name two books out, written by my favorite authors only. So one is The Glass Palace by Amitav Ghosh, and the other would be The Island of Sea Women by Lisa C.
Okay. Okay.
Both are
And
historical fiction.
both are historical fictions, right, right. And ma'am, if there's somebody who wants to start reading or who wants to take up this hobby, what would you advise them to read? Like, how do we pick up on a book? It's very difficult to find your own genre. It takes time. Like, I remember I have taken after my dad because my dad was in the army and he was all about, spy fiction and all those thrillers. So I just casually went on with a few and then I felt like, this is something I really enjoy reading. They're very fast paced and the scenes are changing so quickly, and that's something I think I will never get to do in my real life. So you get to experience that adrenaline in a different level. So that is when I realized that this is something that I enjoy, or crime fiction, let's say. So how does a new reader get to decide, so what should I read? Because some books you will
Yeah.
just not like.
Yeah, because a lot of people do DM me out of the blue that can you recommend me a book, and I think of them as what does this person even want me to tell them?
Yeah.
Because I don't know you, whoever is asking me. If I don't know you and I don't know about your reading habits, how am I even supposed to help you with this question? So, whenever anybody is trying to get into the habit of reading, first of all, ask yourself that what kind of reading do I want to do at this moment? Do I want some heavy themes? Do I want something breezy for a read, or do I like a mystery? At least this much you can think of. What do I want to read? Then the next thing is, I've seen people probably look up in Amazon or search Google. What do they search for is uh, prize
Mhm.
nominated, yeah, the prize nominated books or prize winners. So people should know that the prize winners and the nominees both generally have heavy and traumatic themes. So if you're not looking for those, please for once think that would you like to read that, or would you like to stay away from those for a bit and explore yourself whatever you want to read. You can go on Amazon and probably put in a genre and then see what comes up. Or there are so many people who have pages like bookstagram pages, uh, the one similar to which I have. So they talk about books, so you can ask them, like people ask me, but you should probably tell them what are your reading preferences, what's your age, what's your choice, is it the first time you want to read. Please start a conversation like that. Tell them more, they can help you, or simply go through their pages, you can find something.
Yeah.
But please do not run after your award-winning books. Yeah.
I agree 100% there, because I remember somebody was giving me a book by Salman Rushdie. Now I know he writes very well, but it's definitely not something that I can go
It's not for everyone. All
Yeah.
the award winners are not for everyone. Even I have read very, very less award-winning books or famous authors. I've read very few of them. I just read what I like to read, and that's good enough for me. Yeah,
And
that
what I
serves the
feel
purpose. Is what I'm
it
trying
does.
to say.
You get refreshed because that's what you want. You
Yeah.
want to pick it up because you want to
You
have a
don't
good
want to
time.
get traumatized unnecessarily. You
That's
basically wanted to start reading so that it refreshes you, but you ended up with a book with a lot of traumatic content. Now, where does that land you? It didn't
I'll tell
help
you.
you anyway.
This reminds me of an instance. I was in third year BDS and I had a bad viral, right? And somebody gave me 1,000 Splendid Suns. I don't know if you've read that book.
Yeah, I
And
have.
it was very traumatic, at least for me, because
It is.
I read an entirely different kind of class of books, right? And this was
Yes, yes,
about a woman's struggle and how she go, and it's based
yeah,
in Pakistan. Then she goes to Kabul, and as it is, I was in that viral thing, and I can never forget that book. It was. I think
yeah.
if
It
you end up
sends
feeling.
you in a sends you on a bad, downhill spiral, which you don't need in your life at all. I'm a fan of Khalid Hosseini myself. I've read all his books, but then I would not recommend them to anyone just like that in a heartbeat. No, I will not. I
Unless you
would
know.
like to know. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to tell, that even if you're asking somebody for a recommendation, tell about yourself first. And if you're yourself trying to find out what do you like to read, okay, give yourself some time. You will need to explore, you will need to go through 3 4 5 books and then understand yourself that what kind of reading do I like. It's absolutely fine even if you like kids book in your adulthood. That's fine. It has to refresh you. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. And ma'am, do you
Yeah.
have hangovers from books? Like this would happen with me a lot. There are certain books that I would have read, and then I would be only thinking about, oh my God, whatever happened to that character? Why did this happen? Especially if there's an abrupt ending, you would be so stuck. Does it happen to you?
Yeah, it does. And for that reason, because I can't stop thinking about my characters for some time, that's why I cannot read some genres like horror or probably some anything which has some gore in it. I cannot read such things because then it stays with me. And again, that defeats my purpose. I want to read because reading makes me happy, not because it haunts me later on, not because I can't function the next day. So yeah, that kind of hangover happens. But having said that, there's something also very interesting. I feel that people say often that books move them, they make them cry. Books do move me too, but I am very clinical when it comes to reading. I cry very easily when it comes to watching something and crying at the same story, talking about the same story, same characters. But if I'm reading it, it's difficult for me to cry or be that moved. I have read beautiful books, but I don't cry reading books. I don't know. There are a lot of people who cry.
Yeah.
Books move me, but I rarely cry. And whichever book really makes me cry or I shed a tear, I really, keep it in high regard that this book made me cry. Yeah, that kind
Same.
of
Even
thing.
I feel the same. Movies, I do watch them, and in fact, even I get very emotional. I remember I read this one book. Nothing against it. I think it's a nice book. P.S. I love you. One of my friends got it, and I did not even read the book. So these are letters written by a husband who has then passed away, and his wife is receiving his letters after he's died.
Yeah,
And that thinking about that concept is so traumatic. And then, I
yeah.
read one or two letters and I kept it. I was like, I can't read this. This is too difficult to process. But again, to each their own. So some people really enjoy it. So that's when I decided, and I think I realized that love stories are not for me. I can't read them. They are very traumatic to go through. So it's better to go through something which is more, on the thriller side of things, so that, and moreover, you don't experience that. So that's just my choice. So when I'm reading about a spy, I feel like, okay, my God, he's going to pick out his gun and run here and there, and the weather is so cold, and so this makes you happy. Yeah. And so, ma'am, what's the story with Kitabi Scribbles? So, how did you come up with your page, and when did you think you wanted to do something like this? Because as it is
Yeah.
busy, you have, I mean, it must be hard. So, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, so the story is simple and funny both. Why simple? Because what happened was in 2019 when I started my maternity leave. Obviously, the first 2 3 months you are absolutely, uh, like in a stormy sort of a period, physically, emotionally, and how much you need to be with the baby and care for the baby. But then 2 3 months later, you start to come out of that stupor. Then you start thinking about yourself. You are walking, you're exercising, you're doing a little bit of this and that. But still, my maternity leave hadn't ended by then, and I had about 2 3 months to myself when I was at home with the baby. But I had some time for myself as well. So that time, I started reading more. As in, I became a more regular reader in those 2 3 months. So just after that, I thought, why not start a page? At that time, it was absolutely spur of the moment, and I had no idea that it will be such a big community of people doing exactly that, waiting for me to,
Outpost.
start my journey and be so supportive to me. And this community has been so amazing. So I started that page in 2020, I think. Yeah. And it has been one hell of a journey after that, and so amazing. Yeah, this community is absolutely amazing, so supportive and so inspiring as well. Because I was talking to somebody the other day that even if I tried, I can't meet such impressive people uh, in a span of 2 years. Even if I tried,
Yeah.
like how much ever I wanted to try, I cannot meet so many people, so inspiring people in a span of 2 years, which I have met on this community with the help of this platform. So
Yeah.
that has been the journey.
People from such different backgrounds. I remember you had once shared a post when you were asking people who's from where,
What do
and
you
there
do?
were,
Yeah.
yeah, and people were doing so many different things, isn't it?
Many different things. Yeah, they were bankers, share market investors, and they were people working with artificial intelligences. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
People learning to translate. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Coming to think of it, I think it's such a nice thing, isn't it? Social media, where you get connected with people from such diverse backgrounds. Otherwise, you usually tend to interact with people from your own profession, because that's how far,
Yes.
that's as far as the circle goes. So
Yeah.
what other plans do you have for your page, ma'am? So you plan to do something new to it, or like, and I've seen you put out your pictures. And how do you come up with these different ideas? Your posts with books are entirely, I mean, you have to really think about how you would have shot those pictures and who's helping you, who's behind the camera.
Yeah. So yeah, it's also again funny because in the first year of me running this page, because when I started it, I absolutely had no idea will I continue with it or not. But then, as I said, the community which I found here was absolutely amazing. So I wanted to continue
Okay.
because for the love of reading and for the love of discussing books both. So initially I was putting very simple pictures, but then I thought let's try clicking a picture like this because I enjoy photography as well. So that clicking part per se, was a stress busting activity for me. I like clicking pictures in different ways. That's why I do it, not for the sake of popularity or followers. If they come, it's nice, but then that activity per se relaxes me, and that's why I do it. Going on my terrace and clicking the photos with the sky, or going out in the park by the side of my house and taking the photos on the trees or things like that. This funky pictures, clicking it relaxes me, so I do it.
And
So yeah, you asked
yeah, you were telling me.
you asked about the plans that I have. So really, I have not really thought about how will I take it forward, because it's been 2 years. So far, so good. But right now, the reach, as you know, is really bad. It's really a pain right now. So it's demotivating nearly everyone. It is demotivating me as well. So I think for the first year, I was all about pictures, discussions. Then in the second year, I started making reels, which was a fun activity in its own right. And then now let's see if the Instagram algorithm helps us at all, or improves the reach. Only then you feel like posting, otherwise the frequency is obviously going to go down.
So for everyone who's going to be listening to this video, you must go ahead and check out ma'am's page. It's a fantastic page. You'll find such good book recommendations, and moreover, the pictures are so beautiful. It's a very aesthetic page.
Thank
It
you.
goes by Kritabi Scribbles, and I'll link your page in the description, ma'am. I'm sure people will check it out. And before we part, I think one question, another thing that I want to ask you is: you're a mom yourself. You've been working, and you're running an Instagram page. Would you agree when I say women tend to become more active once you have a kid? You really learn to multitask,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
do your work better?
Yeah, you know why? I think I first of all I agree with what you said, and secondly, why? Because having a child, you like it or not, it kicks you out of your comfort zone. You cannot, even if you try, stay in your comfort zone. So you're anyways kicked out. You have to multitask. You have to do a zillion things which you never thought would be possible to do in this short span of time. So yeah, your mind also starts working like that. You adapt, and then you're like, yeah, I can't rest anyway, so let me do something creative which relaxes me. So yeah, it's fun like
That's
that.
that's so good, ma'am. It was, a pleasure talking to you and connecting with you. Any
Absolutely.
parting words for the audiences or for the students? In fact, there are a lot of dental and medical students who are going to be listening to you. What would you tell them? What would you like to say to them?
Yeah. So all I would like to say is, uh, have a hobby, have a serious hobby, and it could be anything from very simple to very complicated. But do something that you like, and do something that is not your profession. Let's say you really like being a doctor, then also try to find some activity which you can do other than your profession. It will really help you, especially when your life is going to be all adulting and sometimes no fun, sometimes months on end. Being a doctor does involve things like that. At months on end you can't go on a vacation. You have a very stressful span of work, etc., going on. Sometimes kids will bug you no end, and you will feel like, oh my god, where do I go? So yeah, that time you go to your hobby, and it acts as an anchor. It's a refuge. So please hold on to your hobby strongly. If you don't have one, inculcate one. Hobbies are really, really important, and reading especially is a very, very good hobby.
Absolutely. It'll take you to a whole different world altogether where you can do things which you never thought you could. So, which is why I enjoy it. And I absolutely agree 100%. You must have a hobby, because you can't just plan a vacation like this. There's so much that goes
Oh,
behind.
yeah.
But, and as much as we want to, because I think everybody thinks like this, okay, once I start working, once I'm more settled, then the first thing that I'll do is I'll go on a vacation. But it's not that easy. It never happens that
There's
easy.
always another bigger mountain which is waiting for you to, you know, climb it. You always have a next mountain waiting for you. So the mountains will never end. The targets will never end. The goals will never end. So it's a journey, and to make the journey pleasant, obviously, you need a hobby. Yeah.
So this is where you will get to unwind and feel happy, and it's the
Yeah.
easiest thing you can do for yourself, isn't it?
Uh,
So it was fantastic talking to you, ma'am. I think this was such a lovely
Absolutely.
session.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Ipshita. I